You know, when I think of a quick and easy meal for dinner, I always tend to think about one of these boxed dinners, Hamburger Helper, if you will. But I found that I like to spice it up a little bit. Not maybe spice as in a spicy spice, but just add a few things to it. That way we get a little more out of it than just some meat and some noodles. So, in my Hamburger Helper, I like to add mushrooms. And then I also add some onions. So I'll chop them up in quarters, just like so. You can buy them already done, but I find those don't last as long. So I like to chop them up. And one of these big ones like this, I'm gonna cut it just a little bit more. I mean, it's not a huge big old mushroom that's in there. And I'll use about half this package. I've also got some onions I've already cut up over here from last night when I made the turkey burgers. So now I'm just thinking about what we're going to do for lunch on Tuesday. I am going to sub turkey for my hamburger meat, make it a little healthier. So I'm going to add this in. I'll get the rest of this cut up. We'll get it started. We'll follow the directions as it says, and then we'll add this in as we start to get our noodles tenderized. All right, so let's go to the stove and check it out. All right, friends, so we got our meat on. I'll get it crumbled up here. I did add a little bit of oil, just so it wouldn't stick. Because, you know, this turkey's lean, it's not going to have a lot of grease to come out of it. Which is why people use the turkey to cook with. And, you know, I try to stay away from the... Why is that rattling like that? I've never heard it do that before. Hope I don't need a new stove. But I've just been cooking it on this low. That looks like it's going to be just fine. There we go. So what I'm going to do, throw a little bit of our cracked pepper. Like so. So we get a little bit of that. I'm going to add garlic salt. I'm not going to add a lot. Because, you know, our stroganoff flavor is going to be our prime ingredient here. I am going to add one of my favorites, which is the steakhouse seasoning, and you know, I get the dollar store brand. Just gonna add a little bit, and I'm adding it to my meat now so that my turkey soaks up this flavor and gets a little more flavor within itself. So that's that. Let me get the right spoon I'm gonna need later. So we're just gonna get this fully cooked. You know, if it's pink, it's not done. We don't want raw turkey. But that's going to be fine. Still dealing with this nagging cough from whatever I've had here for 2 weeks. And I've got my antibiotics. I hope that's doing what it needs to do. I'm resting while I can. And cleaned my bathroom today. It's nice and fresh. It smells good. Next, I'm going to get my bedroom cleaned up all nice and pretty, and I'll get y'all some pictures of that. Maybe y'all care, I don't know. But I'm just going to let that heat back up real quick while I get some of my other things together. So, we need a half cup of hot water and 2 1/4 cups of milk. And this does say 2%. I didn't know it said 2%. I always call them the whole milk, but that's okay. I believe I'll put my half cup of milk in this. I'll just stick it in the microwave. I said half cup of milk, but it's a half cup of water. I don't think I need my thing to do that. It won't take long for that little bit of water to heat up. Let me grab my milk. So I need 2 1/4 cups of milk. Here we go. And when I bought almond milk, I have used almond milk as a substitution. That's okay. Gave it a little bit of different flavor, like an almondy flavor, but I'm fine with that. All right, so there's our packet of noodles. I think these things have gotten smaller over here. You don't get a whole lot. And there's our packet that we're going to use. I believe I'll take that lid off and let some of this moisture evaporate out. And see how that goes before I start mixing things in. Too much. I might need to drain just a little bit just to get some of that grease out of there. But with this being the turkey, I do like to leave a little bit, but I don't want to leave that much. You know. Leave some flavor, but don't leave all that fat. So, I told you I've got my onions. I'm going to go ahead and put these over here like this. Those are a little big, aren't they? That's right, I had this prepped for my burgers. Just do it with my hands. This was a sweet onion, so it'll be just a little bit different. It'll be all right. But I like to add this. It adds texture, and I think it gives it a little bit more flavor than just that plain old packet of stuff. This onion will be good with a little bit of salt and pepper and some mayonnaise on a sandwich. Maybe I'll leave me a couple of pieces to do that with. There's some, but I'm putting it over here so that it kind of sweats down, so I can use that side to do my mixing a little bit better. That ought to do. That's enough of them things. Yeah, there's enough left for me to make a sandwich with, which I might do. All right, so we got that going. Just grab a little cup here. I can drain this out like that. Cool part about these flexible spoons, and it kind of bends up to the thing, you know. I believe that'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. All right, so our directions on this say your 1 pound of hamburger meat, 10-inch skillet. Then we're going to stir in a half cup of hot water. I can still hold that, so we'll put that hot water over there. And then we're supposed to add our sauce mix. If I don't hurry up, it'll evaporate out of there, won't it? So yes, just the plain box would be fine. But again, I wanted to add a little bit of a kick to it. It says to get this mixed in with our water. This is just going to make a little slurry here, if you will. It's okay if it gets in with that meat a little bit. I just wanted to get it mixed up real good, and I didn't want to have too much chunky stuff in here that messed me up. All right, so that looks good. Let me add my milk. Of course, that's going to cool that temperature down a little bit. Turn it up. There we go. As it starts to boil again, those little clumps that we've got in there will break apart. That smells good. So, I know, not my normal make it from scratch, but I thought, well, let's take something that we do easy. I had this growing up. We didn't have it once a week because my daddy would have had a fit if he had this once a week. But we had it enough, and I always liked it. We made it with beef though. I didn't care much for the tuna one. I don't know why. I do like tuna. I just didn't like it in this box mix. So that's all we're supposed to do. We'll bring that back up to our boil. Oh, let me get my mushrooms in. So we'll get these in and mixed around. I'm gonna put this top back on it real quick. Let it start to simmer. We'll stir it maybe once, maybe twice. One thing, it didn't give you a lot of noodles, so I added to it so I have a little bit more to eat out of it. But I like adding mushrooms in my spaghetti sauce and different things like that, just to give a little texture and flavor. And I like mushrooms. I could just dip them in some ranch and eat them just like that. Wouldn't bother me. You know I like to eat. Started to think there about Dolly's quote. You know I need the money. It costs a lot to look this cheap. I always laugh at that one when she's like, you know my line, you can quote it for me. I'm like, yes ma'am, I can. A little bit more milk. All right, so we're good with that. I'm gonna let this come back up to a nice simmer, and I'm gonna cut it back down to 4. So we'll come and check on it in a minute. Welcome back. I realize I always say, all right, here we go. So I'm gonna try to say some different things. Welcome back. You see I've got this going pretty good now. And I'm stirring it just a little bit because this stuff tends to stick and I don't want it to stick. So while I turn it back down, I'll turn it back down to about 3 or 4 because it's cooking pretty good. Those noodles won't take long. It won't matter if our onion is not completely done or if our mushroom's not completely done because we eat that raw anyway. So I'm gonna watch it, gonna nurse it, make sure that corner wanted to stick right there. Make sure that it's not sticking and that we're getting it all cooked up. Plus it's all mixed up pretty good. I don't want all mushrooms on one side and all meat on the other. So that's our, it says beef stroganoff, but it ain't beef, y'all know that. So we'll come back and see how it looks right before we take it out. Boom. Here we go. Final result. Wow, it even smells good. We got a nice mixture. Of course, this will firm up as it sits in our pot a little bit. But this should be enough to feed your family of 4. Or if you do like me, just put it in some bowls and you've got lunch for the next couple of days. Let's go over and try this. Let's go over and try this out. While I had y'all on pause, I went ahead and made me a glass of milk and I had a fresh cucumber. Little Boston pickling cucumbers. Nice and crispy. But you didn't want me to try that cucumber, did you? You want me to see what's going on with this hamburger helper? All right, there's one of my mushrooms. There's a piece of onion. So we're gonna get that for one bite. Mm-hmm. Good flavor. The texture of the mushroom is there. Oh, I got that kick from the onion. This is a easy meal to feed a family and to just make you a fresh side with a cucumber or a tomato. A can of corn would be good with this. Or mix you some carrots, some bell peppers. One pot meal. You won't have to have anything else on the side. So, hopefully you have a great day. Again, I made this for lunch, so that I don't know what I'm going to have this evening. Probably just have this warmed up, but we'll find something to eat around here. Hope y'all are staying cool. By the way, did you know that cucumbers are very good for hydration? So if you're dehydrated, eat you a cucumber. You can't drink as much water as you get from eating a cucumber. If you didn't know that, you know now. So, all right, there's my food. See y'all soon.